Test 8, Investments, Taxation, Ethics 8.1 When an investor has to pay a lender more to finance the investment than the investment property generates in income, the investor suffers from a negative amortization, b. Negative leverage, c. A reverse mortgage, d. A debt investment. 8.2 Cost recovery is allowed as a federal tax deduction on a principal residences that do not have a home office. B. Income properties, c. Land, d. Commercial properties owned by the federal government. 8.3 A homeowner paid $200,000 for a house 3 years ago. The house sells today for $239,000. How much has the property appreciated? A. 8.4%, B. 6.5%, C. 19.5%, D. 16.3%. 8.4 The primary tax benefit in owning a non-income property such as a residence is a depreciation of improvements, b. Appreciation of land, c. A deduction for costs of operating the property, d. A deduction for mortgage interest. 8.5 A house sold for $250,000. The seller paid a brokerage commission of 6%, legal fees of $600, and had other closing costs of $1,500. What are net proceeds from the sale? A. $235,000, B. $234,000, C. $233,500, D. $232,900. 8.6 A homeowner bought a house 5 years ago for $150,000. Since then, the homeowner has spent $3,000 to pave the driveway and has added a central heating/air conditioning system at a cost of $4,000. What is the homeowner's adjusted basis if the house is sold today? A. $156,000, B. $157,000, C. $144,000, D. $145,000. 8.7 A homeowner sold her house and realized a net proceeds amount of $210,000. Her adjusted basis in the home was $176,000. She immediately bought another house for $200,000. What was her capital gain? A. $10,000, B. $24,000, C. $34,000, D. None. 8.8 After 5 years of owner occupancy, Simon Wilson sells his principal residence for a gain of $150,000, and the next month buys another principal residence that costs more than the adjusted sale price of the old home. Which of the following is true of the treatment of the tax on gain? A. There is no taxable gain. B. It must be paid in the year of the sale. C. The homeowner may choose to pay it or defer it. D. Taxes due on the difference between the cost of the new home and adjusted basis of the old one. 8.9 Ralph Roberts buys a small office building as an investment and participates actively in the management and operation of the building. This is an example of a syndication. B. Equity investment. C. Direct investment. D. Illiquidity. 8.10 Elmo Gilmore owns a small retail property that he inherited from his father. There are no mortgages or interest expenses connected with the property. Elmo takes an annual cost recovery expense of $5,000. The property has a monthly gross income of $1,500 and monthly operating expenses of $500. Elmo's taxable income from this property will be taxed at a rate of 30%. What is the tax liability for the year? A. $2,100. B. $3,600. C. $3,900. D. $7,000. 8.11 All investors desire their investments to increase in value. However, A. The degree of return is inversely related to the degree of risk. B. The more the investor stands to gain, the greater the risk that the investor may lose. C. Investments requiring intense management have lesser returns. D. The more liquid an investment is, the greater the chances are that the investment will not appreciate. 8.122 Of the financial rewards that investments offer are A. Income and tax benefits. B. Negative leverage and appreciation. C. Appreciation and taxation. D. Positive leverage and prestige. 8.13 Because a real estate investment can take a long time to sell, real estate investments are considered to be A. Management intensive. B. Insensitive to marketing. C. Vulnerable to sellers' markets. D. Relatively illiquid. 8.14 Compared to a stock portfolio, a real estate investment would be considered A riskier investment. B. A more management-intensive investment. C. A shorter-term investment. D. A more leveraged investment. 8.156 Investors purchase a shopping center. One investor manages the tenants and another handles the marketing and leasing. Two investors manage accounting and finance, and the remaining two run the management office. This is a possible example of A general partnership. B. A limited partnership. C. A real estate investment trust. D. An investment conduit. 8.16 The formula for determining taxable income produced by an income property is A. Gross income minus expenses plus land and building depreciation. B. Gross income minus expenses minus land and building depreciation. C. Gross income minus building depreciation plus land depreciation. D. Gross income minus expenses minus building depreciation. 8.17 In deriving taxable income on an investment property, it is generally legal to A. Deduct principal and interest payments from income. B. Deduct principal payments from income. C. Deduct interest payments from income. D. Deduct principal and interest payments from income and capital gain. 8.18 Jake does not use any part of his principal residence as a home office. Which of the following is true of the tax treatment of this property? A. The owner may deduct the property's interest and principal from ordinary income. B. The owner may depreciate the property and deduct depreciation expenses from ordinary income. C. The owner can deduct any capital gain when the property is sold. D. The owner may be able to avoid capital gain tax when the property is sold. 8.19 An investment property seller pays $14,000 in closing costs. These costs A. may be deducted from personal income. B. may be deducted from the property's income. C. may be deducted from the sale price for gains tax purposes. D. may be deducted from the adjusted basis for gains tax purposes. 8.20 The formula for calculating capital gain tax is the taxpayer's tax bracket multiplied by A. the sum of the beginning basis plus gain. B. the difference between amount realized and adjusted basis. C. the sum of net sale proceeds and capital gain. D. the difference between net sale proceeds and capital gain. 8.21 Which of the following entities can legally levy annual real property taxes? A. the Internal Revenue Service. B. a utility company. C. a tax district. D. a court of law. 8.22 Certain classes of property owner and types of property are exempted or immune from real property taxation in many areas. The protected categories usually include A. recreational properties. B. properties owned by a government agency. C. properties that comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act. D. properties occupied by single-parent families. 8.23 What is the purpose of an equalization factor in ad valorem taxation? A. It modifies a local tax rate to bring it into conformity with statutory tax rates. B. It changes the assessed value of an individual property to make it reflect the assessed values of other properties in the same neighborhood. C. It adjusts assessments in a locality to make them more consistent with an average level for the state or other higher level jurisdiction. D. It adjusts the amount of the homestead exemption in a certain area to make it proportionally equivalent to the average homestead exemption in other areas. 8.24 A school district's tax rate is 10 mils. The school district's required revenue from real estate taxes is $20 million. What is the tax base of the area? A. $20 million. B. $200 million. C. $2 billion. D. $200 billion. 8.25 A homeowner receives a tax bill that includes an amount for the library district, taxed at $1 per $1,000, and the fire protection district, taxed at $2 per $1,000. How much does the taxpayer have to pay for these two items if the property's taxable value is $147,000? A. $1,567. B. $157. C. $1,410. D. $441. 8.26 A town is replacing a sidewalk that serves 5 homes. The length of the sidewalk is 200 feet. Mary's property has 38 feet of front footage. If the cost of the project to be paid by a special assessment is $30,000, what will Mary's assessment be? A. $6,000. B. $5,700. C. $789. D. $1,579. 8.27 What is a tax deed? A conveyance instrument for a property that is sold to enforce a tax lien. B. A document recorded in title records showing that property taxes have been paid. C. A notice to a homeowner that a tax lien has been entered against the property. D. A document that gives a municipal authority the power to collect an individual tax bill. 8.28 If a property owner has the right to redeem his or her property after a tax sale, the owner has a legal right of rescission. B. An equitable right to acquire title. C. A right of homestead exclusion. D. A statutory right of redemption. 8.29 The formula for deriving a municipal jurisdiction's ad valorem tax base is A. The jurisdiction's annual budget times the tax rate. B. The total of all assessed values of properties minus exemptions. C. The total amount of ad valorem taxes required by the budget. D. The municipality's budget multiplied times the millage rate. 8.30 A homeowner's total tax bill is derived by A. Dividing the tax requirement by the tax base. B. Multiplying each district's tax rate times the market value of the property. C. Multiplying each district's tax rate times the taxable value of the property. D. Averaging the tax rate for each tax district, and multiplying the average tax rate times the assessed value. 8.31 The Fair Housing Law that first protected people against discrimination in housing based on race was the A. Civil Rights Act of 1866. B. Civil Rights Act of 1968. C. Executive Order 11063 of 1962. D. Title 8 Amendment to the Fair Housing Act. 8.32 The classes protected against discrimination by the Fair Housing Act of 1968 are A. Race only. B. Religion and gender only. C. Race, color, religion, and national origin. D. Age and gender only. 8.33 An agent is committing an act of discriminatory advertising by doing which of the following? A. Telling prospective buyers about the positive and negative aspects of a certain neighborhood. B. Telling a prospective seller that now would be a good time to put a property on the market. C. Advertising a property as available to individuals of a particular race. D. Telling a prospective buyer that the agent is too busy to show the buyer properties personally on a given day. 8.34 Which of the following is an example of blockbusting? A. An agent shows a minority home buyer properties located in a neighborhood where there are no other minority homeowners. B. An agent persuades a minority home buyer to avoid looking in a neighborhood where there are no minority homeowners. C. An agent persuades a family to put their house on the market because ethnic minority families are beginning to move into the neighborhood. D. An agent persuades a minority home buyer to buy a property located in an area where most of the homeowners belong to minority groups. 8.35 The practice of redlining is specifically prohibited by A. The Home Mortgage Disclosure Act. B. The Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act. C. The Civil Rights Act of 1866. D. The Americans with Disabilities Act. 8.36 Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968 applies to the sale of all single-family residences. B. All privately owned single-family residences. C. Privately owned single-family residences listed with a broker. D. Privately owned single-family residences for sale by owner. 8.37 A broker signs a listing agreement to sell a home for $200,000. An immigrant couple are interested in the house and ask the agent the price. The agent states the price as $210,000. According to the fair housing laws, such an action is illegal, because the agent changed the terms of the sale to discourage this particular couple. B. Illegal, because the agent violated the listing agreement. C. Legal, because the quoted price increase did not exceed 10% of the listing price. D. Legal, because the increased price does not necessarily exclude the couple. 8.38 Which of the following actions is allowed under federal fair housing laws? A broker, following the instructions of the seller, advertises the property as for sale to Christian families only. B. A home seller, acting without a broker, places a for sale mature, single men only sign in front of the house. C. The owner of for rental houses advertises one of the properties for rent to married couples, no children, no pets. D. The owner of a duplex who resides in one of the units refuses to rent the other unit to a non-Christian. 8.39 Cecily Longstreet believes a real estate agent has kept her from seeing a certain property for rent because she is a woman. What actions should she take if she wants legal satisfaction for her complaint? A. File charges of illegal discrimination with the police department that has jurisdiction over the local area. B. File a complaint with HUD or file suit against the offending parties in a state or federal court within the prescribed time period. C. Wait 2 years and then file a civil suit in federal court. D. Sue HUD for damages under the Civil Rights Act of 1866. 8.40 George Scott hires Shannon Lang to sell his house, with the condition that he will not be the first one in the neighborhood to sell to members of a certain ethnic group. What should Shannon do about this condition? A. Inform Scott that the condition is illegal and that she cannot comply with it. B. Note the condition on the listing agreement and have Scott initial it. C. Pretend that she did not hear the condition and proceed to market the property to all groups. D. Tell Scott that she will try to discourage members of that group from looking at the property, but that she cannot control cooperating brokers. 8.41 Under federal fair housing laws, the owner of a 10-unit apartment building may legally advertise that the property is not available to anyone requiring wheelchair access. B. Refuse to rent to aliens. C. Require families without children to pay the same security deposit that families with children must pay. D. Require tenants to move out when they become 62 years old. 8.42 Sam Goff wants to rent out his home, but wants to exclude families with children because of his belief that they cause damage. Under what conditions would federal fair housing laws allow Goff to rent on these terms? A. The owner has a consistent no children policy in all his rental properties. B. The owner can prove that costs to repair damage caused by previous tenants with children exceeded the tenant's security deposit. C. It is a single-family house that is part of a federally designated planned unit development. D. It is a single-family house, and the owner owns only one other rental home in addition to his own residence. 8.43 Which of the following laws or rulings extended discrimination to include gender, handicapped status, and family status? A. Executive Order 11063. B. The Civil Rights Act of 1968. C. The Fair Housing Amendments Act of 1988. D. Jones v. Meyer. 8.44 The Wallaces, a minority family, would like to buy a home in a certain price range. Agent Ambrose shows the family all available properties in a neighborhood of families with similar backgrounds. Ambrose does not mention a number of homes in the family's price range in other neighborhoods. This agent could be liable for A. Blockbusting. B. Providing unequal services. C. Steering. D. Nothing. His services were legal and acceptable. 8.45 An agent does not like a particular minority buyer, and is very short with the person, refusing to engage in lengthy conversation or show him any properties. A second minority party visits the office the next day. The agent is very forthcoming, and shows the person 5 prospective properties. This agent could be liable for A. Providing unequal services. B. Steering. C. Misrepresentation. D. Nothing. Both parties were minorities, and therefore no discrimination occurred. 8.46 Following the client's recommendation, an agent conceals the availability of a property from an employed but pregnant and unmarried minority woman. This agent could be liable for A. Discriminatory misrepresentation by omission. B. Steering. C. Violating fiduciary duty. D. Nothing. An agent may show or not show any property at his or her discretion.